Hello and welcome. I'm just putting a little video tutorial together today here on the 3 steps on how not to retire. These days everyone's talking about retirement, saving up for it, what they'll get accomplished once they do retire. Seriously though, you really need to look at the 3 steps on how not to retire if you value your longevity. What is it that you're actually retiring from? Is it your job or are you retiring from life? It has been proven that man has a natural will and want for accomplishment, and this feeling disappears once the majority of the Western world retires. How many times have you heard about a colleague who was going to go great guns and then they retired, felt useless and dropped off the perch? There has to be a purpose in your life, a reason to wake up and to get excited. So let's look at 3 steps on how not to retire so we can keep everyone's longevity intact, their feeling of belonging and a reason to get out of bed in the morning, and being that on the top of your list. Okay, so option 1, the internet. This is amazing. This will keep your mind active. You don't have to be at a job to keep going these days. There's so many ways to keep you feeling accomplished, especially with the options available on the internet. So if you have commitment and drive and you can now know that you can change your profession, you can change it to anything. You can be a self-published author. There are so many options on the internet that you just have to get your head out of that traditional job mode, and it's just not the be-all and end-all of life. And there's so many people in the world that have never actually had a traditional job. They've been self-motivated and then they have been in business for themselves their whole career, and they've just done everything their way, if you want to put it that way. So the internet's a really good option if you're looking for a different way of incorporating, whether it's just income or something to fulfill your needs and your time. The guy in Walmart, sometimes people get a little bit overwhelmed with the fact that they're aging. It's really quite interesting when you have conversations with people, and it's completely a mindset. If you can talk to someone who's, I don't even think it's old, 55, 60, and then you can talk to another person who's 55, 60, and one of the 55 to 60-year-olds, you think you were talking to somebody who was 30, and the other 55 to 60-year-old, you think you were talking to someone who's 90. So the guy that started Walmart, he didn't start that until he was in his mid-40s. So for someone who is 20, that sounds ancient. For someone who's 60, that sounds quite young. But it just shows you that age is no barrier if you decide that you want to change your career or you want to start something new. So just because you're heading for retirement doesn't mean you're out of the race because of your age. So you can start anything. It doesn't matter how old you are. So I was watching the telly the other day, which is something that I very rarely do because TV is one of my pet peeves. But there was an interesting story on a lady that was over 80 and she was still active. She volunteered. She'd been volunteering as, I don't know if everybody knows what they are. In Australia, they're called a pink lady. And a pink lady is someone who goes in and volunteers and helps out at the hospitals. And she was over 80. So I don't know if she was 81 or she was 86 or she was 83, but they said that she was over 80 in the actual interview. And she was sprightly and she was focused, and she'd been, she felt like she belonged to something and she was a part of something. So it's a huge thing to keep active and doing things no matter what your age. So if you can combine all of the 3 steps on how not to retire, you can live a full and exciting, long, let's call it not retirement. So volunteering, I don't know if you want to call it volunteering, but volunteering, looking for new businesses or new options on the internet, and just not being limited by your age. So hope you found that information beneficial. Log on to my site at diecouch.com for further information and inspiration, and have a great day.